What's up, everybody? Today we talked to Kino about the adversity that he faced and how he was able to climb and get to the mountaintop and retire at just 40 years old. Make sure you stay to the end so you and I can talk about the wisdom that he dropped today. Hey man, thank you for inviting us in.
Oh, thanks for coming out.
How long have you had this car?
About a year and four and a half months. Actually, the longest exotic that I've kept.
What has made you keep this car for so long?
It's my first Spider, and it's a very proper Spider. It drives the same top on or off, no rattles, no creaks. You can take it to the track and have some really awesome time driving it and pushing it.
What do you do for a living?
Well, currently I was fully retired. It's been a dream of mine to retire early in life. Early 2005, I started a company called Process 360, a company that did litigation support. In 2012, I joined the military while I was still at UT, and I've learned what to do, what not to do, made a lot of mistakes, and learned the process of a healthy business and, how to survive a downturn, because I went broke twice in my life. So
congratulations on early retirement. What would you say is the most you made in a year?
I think I've reached about $1 million, and this is 2009. So with inflation today, you could do the math. And I lived pretty good. I just wish that I knew how to handle money the way I do today. Back then, what I could do with myself. I wish I had someone to mentor me or to teach me or to show me some stuff. And I think being young and a little bit arrogant kind of played a role into maybe not listening to some of the people that can't come around.
How did you scale from going from a 6-figure to 7-figure business?
I started a very small firm in Austin that he didn't have the mindset that I had. He was happy with his operation. I wanted more. So I took this on my own, and a lot of people were like, well, we'll start getting ready for the bigger operation when the business come. And my mindset goes, you can't do that. You have to be ready so the business could come and you can keep it. So I planned for growth by building the software from scratch. So I came into the law firm with, I can save you time and I can automate a lot of your stuff. And as the software grew, my mindset grew with it to say, well, I could do a lot more with this for me. Why am I just helping others? So the software kind of blew up by itself, became its own company. Scaling and scalability and sustainability is basically the essence of success in any business. You need to have a plan. You need to have projections. You need to have experience. If you don't have any experience, you can go out and have someone help you that has experience, hire the right people.
It takes a lot of work ethic to get where you are. Where is all this coming from? How was your upbringing?
Education to him was very important. He wanted me to be either an engineer, a lawyer, or a doctor. Little computers, I would put them together and assemble them, and then they gave me one as, on a very discounted price, and they were like, here's yours. And I started learning DOS and whatnot. So
at what age?
14, 13 years old. I learned DOS. I got into college overseas, actually. I started overseas. Got into college as a computer engineer. And while I was having fun, there was an element of it that wasn't appealing to me. I was very athletic and I was more sport oriented. So I would swim and I played basketball in high school. And I met a gentleman who was leading a program at the University of Lebanon in northern Lebanon when I grew up. And he was like, hey, I have the perfect program for you. I've seen you swim. How about you you can learn to be a swim coach, and then we could take you to France on a scholarship for injury prevention. And I moved to Austin in 1998, basically went to UT and finished my college there to be computer engineering. And I took almost all by about 13 courses to graduate, and I had to stop. At the time I had my first, I had a kid and life changed.
At what age?
24-ish. My whole life changed, and I had to take some stops in between. I was on my own. My dad was like, you're not doing what I sent you to do. I'm not going to give you any more money. So I never finished my major. I was shy of 13 credits. But at the very time, I was working full-time at a firm downtown, the one that I mentioned to you.
At 24 years old?
Well, I started with them at 21 while I was going to college.
Okay.
And I stayed there. I would work with them and go to school, work with them and go to school. And I stayed there with him until basically there was no room for me to grow, and I wanted to get bigger and I wanted to do more for myself.
21, you started at this place working as an employee,
Yes,
and
sir.
you stayed with them for several years. At what point did you start thinking, you know what?
I was about 25, 24 years old. I realized I can't be making 60, 70 grand a year, working 8 to 5. This isn't me. Like, I need more for my life. My family didn't give me anything. He paid for my only first semester when I came to the United States. And after that, I paid for everything myself.
You know, when you're working at a company, as you were in your younger 20s, you have this safety net. You know, if the company does bad, if the company does well,
Right.
you know, it doesn't really affect, you don't have a lot of risk, skin in the game.
Right.
So, you know, that's the same thing that keeps a lot of people out from the entrepreneurship, you know, side of things, is that fear of losing money, losing time. How are you able to get over that fear and open up your company?
I'm glad you described it as a fear, because a lot of people in the United States, especially where I grew up, if you were to compare the two places, they don't experience really hardship. Like my daughter, she's 17, she goes to high school. The most she has to worry about is good grades. She doesn't have to worry about living or being bombed or like living under a rock or something like this, or on the streets or any of this stuff, because we live in a safe country that gives us a lot. We take so much for granted. So that sheltered mentality, that safety net that you described, or the fear of trying something on your own because you might fail. Mm-hmm. The fear of failing is what scares people. Right. And that's basically the opposite for an entrepreneur. Failure to us is a way to learn, but you don't always think this way. We're not programmed to think it's okay to fail. We reward everything. We reward efforts, right? We don't really support and reward failure in a way where, you know what, it's okay, you didn't make that shot. You know, I'm playing with my son basketball, and he tried so many times the first time that he couldn't make the shot. And I said, well, let's work on the form. Don't worry about making the shot. Once he got the form, he made a shot, and he had the biggest smile. He was so satisfied. But he failed at least an hour before that, making so many aimless shots that didn't make it. We focused on the form. He made the shot. And you can apply the same concept in business. Form is the mindset. You have to have an entrepreneurship mindset. And where does that come from? It comes from a thirst for wanting more for yourself. You feel like this isn't enough for me. If you work at any place and you don't feel like you're satisfied with your job, it means you're in the wrong place, right? We like to be challenged, or at least I like to be challenged. And doing the same thing every day, even though it was so easy, it was so routine for me, like it was a breeze. I walked in the office, got along with everyone, did what I wanted, took 2-hour lunch. It was fine. But after I would go home, I'm like, I can't live like that. I can't do this every day. There has to be more to life than this. And this is kind of where I started.
So how many companies have you owned? So
I have owned a total of 5 full operational companies, full scale from the ground up. I have failed at least 2 of them, and I failed due to lack of experience and having the wrong attitude towards work, towards business. You know, the minute you start, a lot of people, especially Austin, is full of those. They get their first tech job and they make a lot of money, or they make a decent check. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they go out and start buying Rolexes and cars and expensive everything. And they don't think about, how do I make this money last me longer? How do I compound this money? How do I invest this money? And you have people that pretend to be investors and whatnot. And we've seen those in our the car community, and they'll talk a big game, but at the end of the day, it's all in your actions. It's all in what you accomplished. Like, nobody knows how well you did but you, right? Unless you work somewhere and people see you. But if you work for yourself, you're your own judge at the time. You observe yourself, you talk to yourself. But I've learned to check myself, not just with me, because I could say I'm doing great, but I would go to my wife and ask her, hey, what do you think of this? I would go to a trusted friend and ask him, what do I think? But I've also made friends with the right people in my life to bounce some ideas with them, to talk with them. The company you keep is very important. You know, who you hang out with. You don't have to always grow from, or learn from someone. But if you trust someone enough and they're willing to tell you, hey, I don't think you're doing the right thing here, it's okay to hear that, hear them out. And so I built a network of good, trustworthy friends in my life that I can call and say, hey, what do you think of this? And I would bounce some ideas with them. They'll come back sometimes and impress me with like, you know what, I think this is very risky. Or, you know what, let's go for it. Or maybe you should track it this way.
Earlier you mentioned, that a lot of people, when they come into money, they start buying things they shouldn't, like Rolexes. What was, some of the things that you wish that you didn't waste money on?
I bought a lot of cars immediately.
Yeah.
And I did that like what most people that don't understand wealth or money or prepare for later, or like, how do you use this money to sustain yourself and live well for a long time, not for 5 minutes, right? I had more cars than my house was worth at the time. And I remember one of my neighbors, when I first met him, he asked me if I had a lot of people living with me. And I said, no, it's just me and my girlfriend at the time. And he thought I did some drugs or whatever, adult drugs. I'm like, I don't.
How did you finally stop this wasteful attitude with money?
I had to fail all the way down to the ground to where I was 100% broke for me to rethink life and to reassess my approach in money and everything around me at the time. And I believe that was in 2011. We had a huge crash and I literally lost everything at the time. Part of it was my mishandling of funds and not being very good with money and not understanding money well. And the second part was the economy and the clients. I had 2 clients that filed bankruptcy owing me almost $1 million combined.
Wow.
Imagine me having 70 people that rely on me between contractors and full-time employees that I took care of every single month. So I went and talked to a lawyer and he's like, you got to fire everyone, and I couldn't do it. And had I probably would have made it. But I couldn't do it because a lot of these people relied on me. So I had 6 full-time employees making a full paycheck from me every single month for about 8 months until I ran out of money.
You mentioned that your lawyer, who you trust very well, advised you to fire everybody. And if you would have done that, you would have made it. You would have been fine. So how important is keeping that moral compass straight during the tough times like that? And what has it taught you throughout your life?
To me, it's very important. Again, I grew up in a war zone as a kid. Your word is all that makes who you are today. It's everything about you. It tells me a lot more about you giving me your word and keeping it than anything else you could tell me, any contract you could sign, right? But I also watched my dad. He's a very, very strong man. He would drive us through freaking flying bullets and took us up to the ranch. We had a ranch up in the mountain that overlooked the Mediterranean, and we would stay there. And it was pretty safe for the most part. But just watching him, and it took a lot from him, watching my mom, who fought a freaking vicious dog off me. Like, she grabbed him and threw him, when I was little. I was scared of dogs for years after that. Honestly, it's just the environment that I grew up in, the confidence that I saw my parents and the courage that they had when they were raising me. It gave me that to myself. So the value that I see in people is, if I could trust you far more than how much you make, what you're worth, where you're from, that's secondary. And it's nowhere near as important as could I trust you. So I have a few people in my life right now that I can trust with my life. I can trust with anything, and I know they'll be there if I call them. And that's more important than anything, and that would help you also succeed in any business if you can work with people that you trust.
You seem to have led a very successful life so far, but if you could go back to when you're 11, 12 years old and tell yourself some advice, what would it be?
Spend less time scrolling, more time working out, educating yourself, go outside, learn as much as you can, and think for yourself. Because looking at kids now, especially in the last 4 to 5 years, a lot of kids learn from social media, from their devices, from their phones, from their computers, tablets, and they watch a lot of people that could influence them, right? We call them influencers. you got to be careful of who you are watching, who you're listening to, and think for yourself and learn how to distinguish between what is fake, what is real, what is true, and then also family values. Respect your mom, respect your dad, respect what they tell you, especially if you have good parents that love you and care for you. Also, academically, STEM is extremely important. I would never diminish studying English or literature or knowing how to write a paper, because my wife had to help me with writing because I didn't focus on it in my college. I focused more on math and everything else, but it's equally as important to read a lot. I didn't used to read a lot. And don't take anything for granted, basically. We're not entitled to anything, whether you're a child or not. If your parents take care of you, you should be grateful. And these are some of the things that I'll probably go back and tell anyone at that age. It's easy to get bored with things, and you need to learn to want what you have and appreciate it instead of constantly looking for that next rush. In life, there are many ways to get a rush. Go for a hike, go on a trip, but I would say learning from history, learning from the time before us, learning from people before us, and reading a lot of history, reading a lot of U.S. history, because I had to learn about this place, right? I made it my home. Taught me a lot more than I could possibly imagine about tomorrow. And that's something that I cannot take for granted. It taught me how to love other people and appreciate them. And, depending on where you come from and the mentality, there's a lot of prejudice or a lot of racism. Heck, I was a victim of racism when I first moved here with an accent, and they look at my last name, and I had a cop harass me in downtown Austin doing absolutely nothing when I was really young. And learn people, learn cultures, respect people, and appreciate them for who they are.
That's good advice. Speaking of immigrating here from Lebanon, there is a lot of our viewers who might have came here recently to the U.S. What are some first steps that they should work on to achieve financial success?
Well, learn the language, learn the culture. For you to be successful in a country, you have to immerse yourself in it. I know some people who moved here, been here 20 years, and I'm not discounting their culture. I'm not saying abandon your culture, but they don't immerse themselves in the American way of life, right? It's that American dream, the American opportunity. They reject it and they say it's all a trick. If it's a trick, then why am I here, right? Appreciate, love the place, learn the language, learn the culture, immerse yourself in it and embrace it, because it's the land of opportunity. I know many foreigners who moved to this country who speak better English and understand the culture, the language, and the history of this country better than people who are born here. And that to me, it's very important.
What are some habits that you do that you don't see other people doing that you think could help them?
Do whatever it helps you be focused. I rarely ever drink. I don't have any substance abuse. I work out every other day. I wake up and I, drink water and drink coffee. I take my kids to school. I love taking them to school. I cook with them. I absolutely love cooking. I eat as healthy as I can. I love my time with my kids in the morning. So I take them to school, even though the bus comes right there. And I leave at the same time. Sometimes the bus leaves right from the front of the house. It gives me that time with them in the morning that I can talk with them, that I can see they're okay and they can talk with me. And in the evening when they come home, first thing they do is they come and say hi to me. We sit down. How was your day? We talk. And I cook with my daughter. Sometimes I cook with my son, and I want them to know how to take care of themselves. I'm trying to gear them and get them ready for that tomorrow, for that time when their dad is not there, mom is not there. Nobody's there to take care of you. You have to take care of yourself, and you got to do it well. You got to do it right. So these are habits that I instill in my kids, and my son actually follows me pretty well. He's very set in his ways. He's very particular about how he sleeps and what he does and when he brushes his teeth. And he's like literally like a program that auto runs every single day. Both straight A students, both doing well. It's a huge blessing for me and kind of a reward for me in life to see my kids doing well.
There is no manual that we're given when we become parents that kind of shows us how to raise these children and how to motivate them.
I wish there was.
What are some things that you did early in your children's life to kind of set them on the right track to success without pushing them too hard?
At first I was pushing them a little more because, again, my parents pushed me. And to them, they meant well because they want me to be the best. They want me to grow, to have everything and be there and be strong. And they did raise me to be strong emotionally and to be level-headed. So I respect, teaching them to respect other people, no cussing, yes sir, yes ma'am. Those types of early, when they're 2 years old, 3 years old, they understand them. They should know what's wrong, what's right. A little slap on the hand, a little parenting, you could be a little rough with them every once in a while, a little tough on the kid. You don't have to beat them up, for God's sake. But you have to tell them no, and you have to tell them no really loudly to let them understand firmly, no means no, you're not going to get this. And I remember my daughter was about 8 or 9, and I had told her, the next time you do this and you use your iPad outside of the time that we have agreed on, I'm going to break it. And she thought Daddy was kidding. So that was the hardest thing for me to do as a parent, to carry out that threat, because it's not a threat, it's reality. And my daughter saw that it was reality because that day I grabbed it. We went in the garage, grabbed the sledgehammer, and she thought I was going to hesitate. And I looked at her and I smacked it in the middle and broke it. And she froze. She froze. I wish I took a picture of her face. She froze, held her tears. She knew she had messed up, and that was it. And I said, now go figure a way to earn the new one. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think I've had much of attitude from my kid ever since. She did what I tell her. Again, it's a blessing when you see your kids behaving well. It's not about do what I say. It's more of do what's right. I give her quite a bit of freedom. If I'm ever drinking, say, a beer at the house, I would offer, do you want to drink it? She was 14. I want to try this, because I don't want her to try it behind my back. So I don't want to be my kid's friend, but I want them to know that they could be safe to tell me whatever it is that's going on, and I want them to talk to me. So the best advice I can give to a parent, make sure that your kids could talk to you, not to a stranger, not to another kid at the school. I'm not saying don't have a confidant that you can tell as a child, but you need your kids to come to you first, because that's how you know before it's too late if there's something that you need to do to intervene into their lives. And this is one thing that I've done with my kids, that they talk to me, they come and talk to me. And no matter how bad it is, they'll come and talk to me about it.
Nice. It seems like you kind of lead them and they listen to you, but not out of fear, but it's more because you've shown them that they can really trust you and confide in you.
I keep my word with them. So I say, hey, you get A's this whole semester, you get A, or you start showing me, this type of behavior and I could trust you. And I emphasize, I want to be able to trust you, not because you owe me. It's because I want to make sure you're safe. So I link trust and safety for my child. And it took her a while, but she finally realized that it's in her best interest to tell me the truth, because I'm going to find out anyway. And my investigative mind usually will find, or my mathematical deductive reasoning, basically, I'll figure it out. Whatever it is that she's done, I'll figure it out. She finally figured that out, and she realized it's in her best interest, because kids will lie, will tell you a lie, because to them, it's like, what's it going to do? No one's going to get hurt with my lie, right? And my worry is you're going to get hurt one day if I don't know where you are, or who you're talking to, or what have you done, or what did you eat today, or what happened. So it took a while, but letting the kid know that trust and safety is your concern, once they see that and believe you, they'll come closer, they'll start talking to you, and you can have that conversation. And I have phenomenal conversations with my kids right now. They'll talk to me like grown-ups. And I'm a lot of times I'm taken by some of the way they phrase something, or how they come at you, or how much they understand life. And if you don't talk to your kids, a lot of people are busy working and busy with their own life or their own problems. And go watch a movie or go do this. And I will go out of my way to talk to my kids and make sure they're okay, which to me, it's very important.
Nice. Is there anything that you wanted to share with our viewers that you thought is very important and we haven't covered yet?
We live in one of the greatest countries on the planet. And I'd like to see more people love and appreciate this country as I do. That's something that's very dear to me. I wish I could have served longer. I served a short period of time and I got hurt. And have someone that you can reach out and talk to. I could tell you that if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I live with chronic pain and PTSD, and that a lot of veterans live with a similar condition or conditions as I have. Make sure you have someone you could talk to, reach out, talk to someone. If you are a veteran and you want to talk to someone, my door is always open. You can always reach out to me. If you are a car enthusiast, I find a lot of peace and a lot of solace in cars and driving, going on open road drive or driving up to Colorado. It doesn't matter what car I'm in. I love driving. I enjoy driving. It's just getting you to those places that, would be impossible if you had to walk, for example, right? Find a sport, find something that makes you happy and do it. Follow your passion and follow your heart. But at the end of the day, have a plan. Having a plan to execute is where I'm at today. I've had a plan and I executed it and I don't back down.
Thank you for your service, and thank you for the service of all you veterans out there. You guys sacrifice your lives. You put your life on the line, and even if you come back healthy, you've missed years and years of your kids growing up. So we appreciate you and your spouses. They sacrifice a lot as well for you to be able to do what you do and to give us our freedom. So me and Kino can be having this conversation today.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you for this opportunity to tell a small story.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It's a lot more than just the cars, right? At the end of the day, it's us, it's the person, it's the people and the relationships. And I appreciate that very much.
Absolutely. Speaking of cars, I'm excited because on this next video, you guys are gonna see Kino take us on a beautiful drive through the hill country where he just is stuck to the road going, I won't say how fast he was going, but you guys will see. I'm excited to get to show you guys.
We were safe. So thank you. Looking forward to it.
I've watched this interview several times, and each time I watch it, I learn something new. The best things in life are free, and it's certainly true for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something as well. Kino grew up in North Lebanon, and after just his very first semester in college, he was cut off financially from his parents, and he dropped out of college due to having a kid at a young age. He faced adversity at a young age, but he didn't let that stop him. He went to go work as an employee for a small firm in Austin. He did that for several years, was making decent money, but that wasn't good enough for him. After about 5 years, he ventured out on his own and went on to go completely broke. Not once, twice. He says he doesn't look at those two failures as a letdown. He actually looked at them as a lesson to learn from. Through those lessons, he learned that hiring the right team is of the utmost importance, because only then can your business really start to scale. He mentioned that he started learning computer coding at the ripe age of 14 years old. And although he's had success at a young age, he still wishes that he knew how to make his money work for him like he does today. He wishes he had a mentor to teach him. He says he let arrogance get in the way of when mentors crossed his path that could have helped him get farther, faster. I can't stress enough how important it is to learn how to make your money work for you in life as early as possible. That's why I have this channel, to help you set up for success and allow you to be in the position to help loved ones and give you more purpose in life. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, go ahead and subscribe and smash that like button. I have a video where you get to see what it feels like to drive Kino's 750 horsepower McLaren, or you can watch the next video on the playlist. We'll see you on the next one.